Hi, everybody. I'm Laurie Cadden, and we are in the beautiful TCMC, as I say all the time, with the great view of some great buildings behind us. Kind of neat here, which Mark loves this backdrop, just so you guys know. Loves it. So we are here because it's our 6th installment of the Lackawanna County Medical Society Educational Series, number 6. We have 6 more for the year, and maybe next year too. Who knows? Because we're just loving doing these. Today we're talking about stress management. See, stress management and nutrition all around the holidays, because let's face it, we all get crazy, we all overeat, we all do all of those things when the holidays come, but it's just so much fun. So to talk with you about how you can maybe be a little more mindful of your eating and your being and your stress in your life, and to talk a little bit about nutrition. We have 2 lovely people. I said, Phil, the only thing wrong up here is Phil doesn't have lipstick like Nicole and I do. Other than that, we're good. So we have a wonderful teacher of mindfulness-based stress reduction, Mr. Phil Salavante, right, Phil?
Yes,
we got it going?
You got it.
And then I'm surrounded by wonderful-looking Italians today. And then we have from Geisinger CMC, Nicole Capola, who is a registered dietitian nutritionist.
Yes.
We got it right.
Very
Yay,
good.
see? Now I'm not stressed. It's all over. So we're talking. It really is true. I mean, I walked in here, and what did I say to Mark when I said, Mark, I am so stressed this week. It isn't even the holidays, and I'm crazy. So when you add your everyday work life and your busyness to the holidays, it's like holidays intensified. So we're talking a little bit. What are the most common causes of stress at the holiday? How can we help? Phil, your way of looking at this, you've been a teacher, you said this technique or this way of thinking started in the 70s.
Practice started in the 70s.
Practice started. So how are you I want to say an expert, so I'll use that word, as to be able to teach this, and how do you get yourself and your mind to cooperate with being in the moment?
I did my teacher training at Thomas Jefferson University Medical Center under its director, Dr. Diane Reibel, and I was fortunate enough to be trained by her. What we do is pay attention to the moment, okay? Actually, the definition of mindfulness is paying attention to the moment on purpose without judgment. So we're bringing a sense of compassion and kindness also into this practice. So we teach how to pay attention to your body, sensations in the body, because that's the language of the body, is sensations. And the body will never, ever, ever lie to you. It always knows what's going on. We rarely pay attention until it's calling out to us and screaming at us.
What about that line where I say this all the time, it's your gut reaction or your inner sense, that your 6th sense, whatever it is. Hey, I know that happens to me all the time, and I pay attention. I have to say, I took a class, but I really and truly pay attention to that. And when I don't, and it comes back to haunt me, I get mad at myself because I think I thought that. So now I really try to do that. So how does one get to that point?
It's what we do is slow life down just a little bit. And the ways to slow down life is very simple, by taking a simple breath, noticing the breath and going into the body and feeling what's there, noticing the sensations, tightness in the chest, maybe. And you said your gut reaction, and that's trusting yourself. And that's where a lot of the
stuff happens there, right?
Communication starts there, yes.
Yeah.
That's where communication really begins. If you're truly in the moment, in the present moment, you will be communicating from within. So that'll be an honest, truthful thing coming out for you. That's another class.
Side, yeah, I know.
That's another class.
It's
but back,
meaningful.
Back to the stress. If
Yeah.
you're noticing things in your gut, that's something to look at and say, what's here for me in this moment? What am I noticing? Is there something here I need to look at? Is there an emotion attached to this? Things like that, questions like that. Very simple questions, and you may not get answers immediately, but if you keep looking, you notice that things will shift and change. When you place your attention on parts of the body that may be calling out to you, usually there's a little shift or change that takes place. So if you're noticing a tightness in your chest because you're stressed, because you're in traffic, that's a great one, and you have to be somewhere, and your hands are clenched, and your chest is like tight, and your shoulders are up like this, and you're saying nasty things,
Yeah.
it's taking that breath. Okay.
And realize you're doing it, right? Because we
Realize
go
it.
through life so often, right, not knowing that we're, like you said, I said, I thrive on stress. And what did you say to me? You might, but your body doesn't. So if we don't pay attention to that, I bet you we could look at lots of people and they don't even know they're doing what they're doing because they're not paying attention to it.
No, and that's exactly right. And you can be walking around feeling perfectly fine, but you're not noticing that your
Clenched
shoulders
and
are tight,
everything, yeah.
or your chest is tight. And I use the phrase check in. Check into the body as often as you can. And I try to teach people when they do a transition from just sitting to standing, check in, just for a moment to see what's there. If you're out and you're talking to somebody, noticing how those words may be falling on you. They might be causing you some stress, you know, and noticing that and just checking in and seeing what's there. And just by checking into the body, noticing that there might be some tightness or tension there, and looking at it, just being with it for a moment and seeing what happens. We're not trying to change anything, we're not trying to fix anything. We're simply noticing and allowing it. Okay? But that's where the shift happens. And what we're doing is we're creating a little space in life, a little pause. And when you create this little space and pause, what happens is skillful choices come to you. So your actions begin to change. So instead of doing everything like you've always done in the past, that habit that you had, you start seeing it as a habit. Ah, there I go again. Okay, what's best for me to do in this moment?
Because you have to behave yourself into thinking different and not think yourself into behaving differently. So if you act on it, it becomes what it is. Know what I mean?
Say that again.
If you have to behave yourself into thinking differently versus thinking yourself to behaving. So if you stop doing some of those things,
Yes.
right, your
Yes.
actions become your thoughts then, the thought follows action kind of thing, that it all works together in the sense that now you're more mindful of how you're doing it.
Okay, I just want to say one thing. The thoughts, recognizing thoughts is very important because thoughts are simply thoughts. We don't have to believe every thought in our head because our minds are very creative.
Right.
And they go through that catastrophic mind at times. So being aware of that and the stories you keep telling yourself over and over again and noticing that and noticing what it's doing to your body and checking in once again with your body. Noticing what this story is doing for me right now, in this moment, what's happening.
So does that apply then to all these crazy things like we're getting ready for the holidays, we know we need to get to our family. We have some happy or unhappy memories. We have, as we said earlier, toxic relatives that we know through all of our good work that we really shouldn't have anything to do in the sense that they just bring you down or toxicity enters and you don't want it there anymore. You've worked enough to say, I don't want it. All of these, how do you deal with somebody like that? Because I find that fascinating. How do you deal with, you're at the table, Thanksgiving, and beside throwing the turkey, what do you say? How do you do it?
This is it. That's when the check-in moment comes in. Okay, I'm noticing, and that's what the practice helps you do. It helps you to recognize that this is happening. So I'm noticing this person is really pushing my buttons and getting to me, and it's causing a reaction on my body. I'm taking a breath and noticing my chest is tight, my shoulders are tight, my stomach is starting to growl or whatever is happening with you. And just being there with that moment, you're in the present moment. So that present moment is beginning to open that space and that little pause in life. Oh, okay, I'm noticing this. And when you have that pause, as I said, the skillful choices will come up for you. It might be as simple as saying something to them very nicely and kindly because you are being kind to yourself at this time. Or it might be just getting up from the table and maybe walking away and doing something different for a moment. But the choices will come up for you instead of maybe throwing the turkey leg at them. You know, you're not going to do that this time. You're not going to do that this time because you're realizing that this is causing a stressful reaction to your body. And once again, this practice also is about treating yourself with kindness. And that's the part of it.
Because that's really what you just said is key, that reacting in a strong, wacky way doesn't help you at all. So you have to realize it's your behavior as well as the other person.
Because you're still feeling that when you're reacting that. And that's what we're teaching. I'm going to just say reacting. We teach to respond instead of react.
Okay.
Okay? So instead of reacting to the situation like you always done, we teach how to look in. Take that moment. Take that momentary pause. See what's there, and then opening up that space, and then respond to the situation. And it could be as easy as one mindful breath. And we teach people that. That'd be one of the things that I would discuss later on in ways to reduce stress.
Okay. And then, Nicole, we didn't forget you. We just got lost in our mindfulness. I love it.
It's interesting.
I love it because that relates directly to what we spoke about before we went on air as well, is the way we eat and the lack sometimes of mindful eating and then or also the preparation of and because you're not taking time, so you might grab something quickly and it's so fast to eat it that you don't even know or remember you ate it. So let's talk a little bit, if we could help the folks out there understand a little bit better. We're not here to tell you can't eat pumpkin pie or you can't eat all this. You're going to do it. It's a matter of making sure you can incorporate some healthier choices and make yourself feel better, because what Phil said earlier was you eat that maybe second piece of pie and then you beat yourself up. Realize it's okay. Be in the moment again and let it go. Move beyond it. Breathe and let it go. So what can you tell us? Nicole is a wonderful dietitian from Geisinger CMC. And so tell everybody, what's a good way? What are some alternatives?
Well, one of the things I like to preface all the time when I talk to patients, I like to remind people holidays are meant to be enjoyed, first of all. So first and foremost, you need to enjoy yourself. So that said, there are certain things that you can do to either prevent yourself from overeating too many calories, and to really, again, mindfully eat and enjoy the moment that you're in. So one suggestion I would say is, first of all, don't show up to a party completely starving. That is a recipe for disaster, because number one, even if you're not at a holiday party or whatever, think about when you grocery shop. If you're hungry, what happens? You come home with $200 worth
that you really don't need
stuff that you really don't need. So don't show up really hungry. Have healthy eating during the day. What I like to do, if I know I'm going to a party at night, I'll eat during the day, my regular meals, but I might go a little bit light on some things, maybe a little bit lighter with lunch, a little bit lighter of a snack, but make sure that you are not really hungry when you do go. One thing that you can do, and this is especially helpful with people with diabetes who maybe want to have something a little bit less calories or carbohydrates, or even someone with food allergies who have to be careful with what they eat, bring your own dish. So instead of relying on, those really rich desserts that might be there and they look very tempting, maybe bring something that you can make, maybe that you like, even a lighter version of it. I love those hot dips, whether it's the artichoke or whatever. You can make that lighter and lower fat, lower calories, still taste delicious, so you still get to enjoy your favorite food. And
not ask the host or hostess to have to do it and you feel like you've brought something to the table, right? Because now it's what you can eat and enjoy. Because I think that is a problem. So many people get invited and they may not like something or they may not want that. So I don't think, I would never be offended if someone said, do you mind if I bring something because what you're having is, I would say, that's great. So do you find there's an issue with that? Is that another way that people will get stressed because they don't know how to tell people, I want to bring something that I can enjoy? Because with all of these food allergies and gluten and like you said, illnesses or just eating in general, like vegans or someone who has a different menu or lifestyle, it's hard to bring that into someone who doesn't practice that.
Right. And think about, we come together at a holiday gathering to enjoy each other's company, hopefully. So it's a gathering, so it should be something that's enjoyable. So absolutely, I think that that's generous, even offering, even if they say, don't worry about it, bring it anyway.
And keep the plate, too. You could do it that way. That could be your gift, too, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I like
So then, what are some alternatives then to, like, if somebody wanted to make something that's a little bit different and cut down on the level of calories? What's a good example of that?
If we think about nutrients, fat is very calorically dense, right? So fat is one of the easiest ways that you can alter a recipe and really not sacrifice taste. Instead of making a dish with lots of butter, a lot of dishes can be made with some oil, or Smart Balance is a good alternative to butter, because the consistency is very similar, cuts a lot of the saturated fat calories. Think of dips that have sour cream or ranch dressing.
You could use yogurt instead of that.
I even found a I guess you would call it a vegan ranch dressing at the grocery store. That was absolutely delicious, and I made it with that hot wing dip. So low-fat cheese. You know, if anything has cheese in there, you can always substitute with a reduced fat cheese. So there are lots of different ways that you can cut. Even sugar, you can cut some sugar out of sweets and cookie recipes. You can use half Splenda, half sugar. Splenda does tend to cook pretty well, or bake pretty well, I should say.
And I know some people use applesauce instead of oil, too.
Applesauce is a good one. Thanks for reminding me of that.
Yeah.
Brownies, it works very well with brownies.
Really?
If you
Yeah, because
take-
you always, if you're making, you do put oil in, so you use the, that is what you use
You
it
cut
instead
the
of
oil
regular
right in
oil?
half. So
Okay.
you substitute half oil and use half applesauce, and it comes out really moist and sweet. It's delicious.
Okay, see?
Stevia
Yeah.
also for sweetener. Stevia.
Stevia's a
because-
great sweetener. I haven't baked with it, so I'm not sure if it holds up with the baking process.
But I know
But-
Splenda does, because I've never used it, but I know that they use it, it's because you use it just like sugar, the same
You
quantity,
do.
isn't it?
I've found the best results are when you kind of use a little bit of
both?
sugar and a little bit
Okay,
of stevia, or
okay.
excuse me,
See-
Splenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're doing any type of counseling, Nicole, at the hospital or out, when you do any type of speaking engagement, or there's a function where you're talking about nutrition, is there a National Nutrition Month? There must be, right?
March is National
March,
Nutrition
okay. So when you're involved and you're out and you're doing these kind of things, do people tend to ask you, like they would if you went to paid to go to see, as some people do, see nutritionists, constantly to keep track? How much of that information can you give to someone to walk out the door and say, at least give this a shot? Like, are there a couple tips that you would say, listen, I'm not your nutritionist routinely, but here's 3 things you could do, like we're talking about stress relief. What would be 3 ways, or if it's more, or if it's just one really good one, that people could really change the way they look at, or we don't want to say change, but at least take a different look at how to eat
how they're
differently?
eating?
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying this because you're here, but I really, really would say conversationally, be mindful of what you're eating. Pay attention to your body. You know, when you're hungry, eat. When you're full, stop. Try to go back to those hunger and satiety feelings, because that's very important. That's kind of a starting point for everyone. Another really easy tip, though, that I do tell people, and it does kind of relate to parties, don't drink a lot of your calories, whether it's coming from soda or alcohol or any kind of sweetened beverage. Don't drink your calories. So one of the easiest ways someone can cut a lot of calories out of their diet, eliminate soda, cut back on juice. You'd be surprised at the amount of juice people drink.
And they drink it
Excellent
with
advice.
the alcohol for those type of drinks. You know, it just adds the calories.
Right.
Which
So-
just converts to sugar anyway, right? The alcohol or not? What happens
well,
with
there's
that?
a whole biochemical.
Yeah, but still,
So
it's just
it
plain
could be
old
stored
calories.
as extra calories and stored as fat. So I
Right.
mean, it's just extra, you know. But in terms of alcohol, I mean, there's a whole those liquor type drinks that have maybe Kahlua or cream in there.
Oh,
Those are
forget
the
it. They
really
have
Irish
everything.
Bailey's cream.
Yeah.
Those are very high in calories. If you think some drinks are made with half and half, heavy cream. You know, those types of things, those are the ones, some drinks can have 300-400 calories.
And
So-
what would be something that you would say to someone, because I think too, if you pay attention to this, again, paying it with the mind, is that when you eat a protein, something that's a protein, that stays with you longer than I find anything. And I find paying attention to when you do eat something, how less hungry you are if you eat a certain protein. That just, for me. So is there something that is good then before you go to a party? You said don't go hungry. Well, you're going to a party to enjoy it. So what's a good thing to eat to cut down your appetite a little, but enough that it'll
Right.
sustain you to do that?
Well, if I'm thinking of a snack,
Yeah, something
okay.
just before a party.
apple slices with some peanut butter.
Okay.
Perfect snack. A glass of milk, say, with maybe a half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yogurt, and Greek yogurt, which is a little bit higher in protein, thicker consistency,
Yep.
very filling.
And you feel like you're eating something because
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
thick, yeah.
Or, a healthy type of a protein bar. You have to really watch the convenience foods, but protein bars can have a healthy part in your diet as long as you're not eating a glorified candy bar. So you don't want something that's very high in sugar and saturated fat calories, like a Snickers bar, say, but something with lean protein, fiber. A lot of the bars have some fiber. Fiber is very filling. So if you're talking about satiety, you feel good with some protein. Okay, I do too in the morning. I like to have some protein with my breakfast. I feel as though it
takes you
kind of
longer,
keeps me a little bit longer. Fiber is very filling.
Right.
So it's a good choice to have, that apple is loaded with fiber.
And that's a great awareness both of you have, that noticing that the protein makes you fuller and last longer. That's an awareness that's there, and that's something that we want to bring out. You want to look at when you're eating, is this filling me, is this satisfying me, and is this, keeping me, how long is this going to last? So that's good.
And I think too that when you know it, because you know that protein is one of those things that are a little bit more sustainable, but I think you pay attention to it, that's what it is. And when I do have something, I think that's why I'm not hungry. But I do find that when you do eat something before you do anything, and the grocery store is one thing for sure.
Absolutely.
The best time to go to a grocery store as soon as you get out of dinner somewhere or have dinner, because it almost makes me sick to look at the stuff. When you go in there, I'm like, oh God, I can't even. So you don't buy as much. You get in and you're out because you don't want to be around that.
Well, and think about if you've shopped lately, they all have, and it's delicious, a lot of the things, but samples of what
everywhere,
they're,
yeah.
the other day it was vegetable lasagna, and my son wanted some, so I tasted a little, and it was delicious. But, I didn't buy it. I would have. I'll probably get it at some point. But those are the types of things, that you're hungry and you're just going to say, oh, give me 2 of them. Let me have that. So you have to pay attention.
So see, it all goes back to that. Go ahead,
And
Phil.
the other thing about mindful eating is when, because we do teach that in our class, it's looking at the food and seeing it, like looking at the texture and the colors that are on your plate, and just taking that momentary pause once again. And when you're taking it up, smelling it and then taking the bite, and after you're chewing it and you swallow it, putting your fork down for a minute and really be with the chewing and the swallowing. Okay, and then picking it up again. And so you're slowing the process down, and this way you actually have a chance to know.
And enjoy it,
yes,
right?
Yes, the
That's what I
enjoyment
always
part
say.
is a huge
Enjoy
thing.
it.
And yes, usually we take one bite of, we're at a restaurant, ooh, this is great, and then boom,
it's
we
great. Yeah,
shovel
exactly,
it in.
exactly.
And yeah, we're not really tasting it anymore. And it's being with the food, and that's such an important, and there's one teacher who says this, he said, when you're drinking tea, the tea is there for you, you be there for the tea. Just drink the tea, be there with the tea. So it's the same thing with your food. When your food is there, and look at what it took for this food to get there. Everything it took. I mean, all the planting and the earth and the sun and the water.
And then where to get
and
the
to get
transportation.
the people involved, the picking,
Yeah,
if it was
yeah.
vegetables, or growing the chicken or whatever, and all of that, and then you finally bringing it home, and everything that it took to get this plate, this food to your table.
Because that truly is mindful, because you're looking way out to how that, and instead of it just being there, I think you form a greater appreciation then, right?
Exactly.
For what other
there.
people do as careers and what they do in life to get this to us. That's
And the environment.
Yeah, it's amazing what everything has to go through, even just going to our local farmers market to know what they do in the harvesting and everything that takes place to get that beautiful red tomato that they're selling us. That is a really neat place for that, because you see no pun intended, but the fruits of their labor, because this is what they do for a living.
And it's a sense of gratitude too.
Right.
For everything that took for that food to be here.
I know.
So, and that's yeah.
It's good, and
Gratitude's a
what
big
I
thing.
also like that we talked a little bit about, Lisa, in some of our notes, and I don't know if they were Lisa's notes or your notes incorporated, but what I like is pay attention to the people that you're going to have the party with too, that you're going to see these people. And I know it becomes just so commonplace for us to say, well, what are we having? Let's get this. Because it's the love and the nurturers in us that we want to make sure everybody's taken care of, and that's a way of doing that. But if you look at it like, oh my God, I get to spend spend time with this person, or I get to talk to this person. We haven't done that in so long. Look at that as a way other than just what the entree of the evening might be.
Right.
Right?
Excellent.
That's a better way to look at it.
Excellent. And if you're being in the moment, noticing how that makes you feel. That makes
Yeah.
you feel happy. There's a smile on your face, you know, because you're going to be with people you really enjoy and want to be with.
Yep.
And
And
that's
the
a beautiful
preparation of the food too, the people doing it. Like I said, that equates to love. When, especially in the Italian world, right? That's what it is. Food is love, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it really it's
It
and it's a
is.
great thing. So
I love food. Grew up
Yeah.
loving food.
So do I.
The
Yeah.
Italian and the
And-
Polish both.
Yes.
Both sides
Yeah.
love food.
No, see, I'm Irish, and there's no. It's an oxymoron when you say Irish food or good Irish food. Kidding, but it's true. I mean, the
Yeah.
Italians have such a love and a zest for it, and it's just, you know, sit
And
down and eat, and then they
Sit
just.
down and eat. And that's the love part of it. And the other thing is, no matter what you do in life, you can do mindfully. So if you're making a meal, when you're cutting the carrot, cut the carrot. Be there with the carrot. Notice how it feels to cut the carrot. When you're doing other things, notice how that feels. Notice how the knife feels in your hand. That's being mindful and being in the moment. And that's helping you to reduce the stress and the body strain on your body as well.
Do you-
Instead of thinking, oh, I have to cook this meal. Let me
But
be
does
with the
that
carrot.
take time to do that? Do you need extra time, do you think, to really think, because you're so fast trying to get it done? How do you incorporate the time that you think you don't have, that you're stressed out in the first place because you put, at least I do, put too much in my day to get done? How does it require extra time or just extra thought?
It may require an extra time, but it's the awareness that you're putting too much on your plate to begin with and saying, well.
No pun intended with
Right,
too much.
exactly. I'm surprised I missed
Worked
that
out
one.
perfectly.
I'm surprised I missed that one.
Pun, no.
And it's noticing that you actually are putting too much on your plate. And once again, it's bringing the kindness and compassion into yourself. Is this helping me or is this hurting me? What's best for me to do? Maybe it's best if I take a couple of these things off. And what is that going to hurt in my life? You know,
Right.
what are the beliefs that I have about this that I'm taking off? And just being with that. And then when you're cooking, cook. Sometimes you have to cook fast, but if you're going fast, be with
Think
going
fast.
Sometimes you
Yeah.
mindfully walk, it rains, you mindfully run. So it's just, you know, what's there for you in the moment, and what you feel is best for you in that moment. And that's what this practice teaches.
Okay. So
Does that
then,
make sense?
yes, I love it. This is great because it really is so. It's very deep in many ways, but it really isn't.
And it's practical.
Right, because if you really apply practicality to what you're doing, it can be easily done. But we think of it like, oh God, one more thing I have. But really, it's just it's plain old paying attention.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And what we teach is simple, but it's not easy. I will say that because it is a practice, and we are practicing, and all of life is a practice. And if you want to be good at something, you practice it.
So if
So
you're,
that's
it's just to help people a few more ways to de-stress. You said get up, stand up if something's bothering you, walk
Possibly.
away, possibly.
Yes.
Deal with it.
possibility.
Be
with it.
I don't want to use the word here confrontational, but you can confront
You-
or speak up for yourself in a healthy manner, right?
You can, yes, you can. You can express your needs in a healthy manner, and knowing what those needs are and what the beliefs are beneath those needs. You know, the emotion that's there with the need, and letting that need out. And sometimes, you know, sometimes it might not be that nice, and that's just the way it is at that moment because it comes out. You know, but as you continue to do that, you will notice that there's a tendency to have a compassion towards what you're saying, also to the other person, and it will come out in a different way because you are being present.
Because
You
if
are
you
being
don't
mindful
do
of
it,
what you're saying.
you push your
You're pushing
feelings
it down,
down, right? So
yes.
you have to be able to, but be a little more mindful of being kind to yourself, because if you're not, the other person, you may feel you need to do that, but
Right.
that you're going to be looked at in a different light if
Yes.
you're screaming at them,
Yes,
right? Instead of
yes.
being a little more kind to yourself.
Yes, and once again, you said pushing things down. We don't push things down, we look at them, but we look at them in a different way. We look at them with a sense of openness, open to what's here, we're accepting what's here, a sense of curiosity, with like a beginner's mind, like that childlike mind, curious about what's going on, and with the kindness. So that's how we look at it. Okay, so we're looking at it a little different. So we're not pushing it down, we're just looking at it differently.
And you
than we have
may
in the
not be able to
past.
react to it right then and there, or
Exactly.
do what you need to do,
Respond,
like to take
exactly.
care of yourself, as they would say. But you need to know when it's appropriate.
Yes, and it might happen like 15 minutes later or
Yeah.
an hour later.
Or a year later.
Exactly, but instead of
Seriously, sometimes
the
that
thing
happens.
is, instead of carrying it for that long of a time, you're going to recognize that this
Mm-hmm.
is causing some stress with me, and what's the best thing for me to do here right now?
Okay.
So you're recognizing it a little sooner, so you're not carrying it for a week. So you might be carrying it for a couple hours instead of a week, and that's a big difference right there.
All right, and anything else you'd like to tell the listening audience, the viewing audience, how to feel better?
One thing that simple practice. It's called 3 mindful sighs.
Okay.
3 mindful relaxing sighs, and it's as easy as just taking in a breath and letting it go, and doing that 3 times. And here's what we do, and you can do this anywhere. I call this a standing in line meditation because I don't like standing in line.
Right.
So when I'm standing in line.
Or in traffic.
Or in traffic, I take the 3, and traffic especially, I take the 3 mindful sighs and notice what's going on. And I notice the breath coming in and feeling it going all the way down to the diaphragm, down to the stomach, and feeling that. And noticing if there's anything going on in my body, tension, and seeing what happens when I let go. I'm letting go. I'm taking in and letting go. And if you practice that, I give stickers out. And I have people put stickers where they will see them often, like on their cell phones, on their rearview mirror of the car, computer. Most people say on their spouse's forehead, wherever they'll see it. And whenever they see that sticker, and you can do this, Whenever you see that sticker, take 3 mindful sighs, because what you're doing is practicing. And after a little bit of time, what'll happen is this practice will come automatically to you. So if you're stressed, your body will go into the, whoa, what's going on? What was I thinking right before this happened? What's causing the stress in my body? So now you're noticing that your body is stressed because it's coming to you. So that's a great, simple, but powerful practice. And here's the other thing about this practice. It bypasses all the psychological things that are going on in your head, all the thought process, and goes right to the heart of the matter, the body. And it's saying, okay, I'm here for you in the body. Let's not think about that. Let's go to the body.
Love it.
Putting the thoughts in the background of the awareness.
Phil, you
We'll
and I
come
are
into
going to
the
talk another time. I like you. And you too, Nicole. But I think this is good. And you know, one thing I'm so happy, I am an iced tea freak. Like I live on, that's my caffeine for the day. And I love that you said be one with the tea. So now I can say
when you're drinking the tea, be
and
with
when
the
I'm
tea.
drinking my tea, I'm always with my Dunkin' Donuts iced tea, and I think, oh, I'm one with this tea now. I love it. Now I have a reason. I'm going to tell everybody. Guess what? I'm one with my tea.
And one other thing, when you're with the tea or with your food, notice when your mind is taking you away, because your mind will take you away, and that's the nature of the mind. The mind will do that. It'll take you wherever it wants to go.
Yep.
And most of the time we're on automatic pilot and not even realizing that we are on automatic pilot. And so noticing that your mind is away and saying, okay, it's okay. Let me come back to the tea. Let me come back to this piece of broccoli or whatever. Or this is pie, this pumpkin pie. Let me come back to the pumpkin pie. And notice when it's away again and coming back. And each time you're doing that, you're strengthening your mindfulness, because you're noticing every time you're away, you're coming
You're
back.
sort of training that, right? It's lack of a better word.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
There's a little switch, yes.
Okay. They're laughing.
They're laughing.
Do you say, Lisa and Mark, if Mark were not here, I'd say, put that camera on them right now. Obviously, it's from something I said, wasn't it, Mark? Oh, thank God. Yay! I love it. It's always something I say, and Mark goes, oh, my God. Anyway, we hope you learned a little bit, or a lot of bit, about how to eat a little bit more mindfully, how to pay attention to your body a little bit more and what it's telling you. And I think it's great. Thank you. This is very
Thank you.
informative.
This was
for
great.
having us.
Thank you.
Nicole Capola, who is here we go again, registered dietitian nutritionist
Yes.
at Geisinger CMC. And then we have Mr. Phil Salavante, who is a teacher of mindfulness-based stress reduction. think about. Even saying it sort of puts you. And then remember those breathing in and breathing out. So again, it is the 6th installment of Lackawanna County Medical Society's education series, number 6. So that means, guess what? 6, 7's next. So we'll be up soon. We'll be back in December, but have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And happy
You too.
Thanksgiving to you.
Same to
And
you.
be
And be mindful.
be one with the tea or the
One with the
bird
tea
or
and the-
whatever it is.
Pumpkin pie, whatever.
So thanks.
Just be there.
Thank you. So have a
you.
great holiday, everybody. Be safe. We'll see you again. I'm Laurie Cadden, and we'll see you soon.